Hey guys, welcome back to Inchworm Gardens. On today's Variety Spotlight, we're going to be taking a closer look at a very unusual and unique plant that grows kind of like a mini cornstalk, but has quite a bit of sadness connected to it. This is Job's tears. Another name for this plant is Adlai or Adlai millet. It's native to Southeast Asia. Here's a young plant here. You can see it looks just like a little mini cornstalk. There's the grain that it produces. And here's a more mature plant. These grains eventually turn a dark black, brown, and gray color. So the plant is grown for these grains that it produces. Very cool. This specific variety is really more so used for ornamental reasons. These beads can be turned into jewelry, bracelets, and prayer beads and rosaries, traditionally what they've been used for. But there's another variety, which is the Coix lacryma-jobi ma yen, which is a variety that's used for food primarily. So that's harvested as a cereal crop, and it's also used medicinally in parts of Asia. And so the Latin name Coix lacryma-jobi, it breaks down to Coix is a genus of plants in the grass family. Lacrima is Latin for tear, and the lacrima glands and ducts are also part of the system that creates tears within the human body. And then Jobi is actually a name of Hebrew origin, and it's thought to have been derived from the biblical name of Job. And that name actually means persecuted. So of course, persecuted meaning being subject to ill treatment because of ethnicity, religion, or political beliefs. So this plant is literally the tears of the persecuted. So there's two main stories that follow this tears of the persecuted idea. The first one being Job, who was a character from the Bible who was tested by God, who shed many tears. But the other one is the legend of the Cherokee people, the Native Americans, having to do with the Trail of Tears. Now I'm sure many of you guys know what the Trail of Tears are, but I found this good little synopsis from the History Channel website I want to read for you. It says, at the beginning of the 1830s, nearly 125,000 Native Americans lived on millions of acres of land in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, North Carolina, and Florida, land their ancestors had occupied and cultivated for generations. But by the end of the decade, very few natives remained anywhere in the southeastern United States. Working on behalf of white settlers who wanted to grow cotton on the Indians' land, the federal government forced them to leave their homelands and walk hundreds of miles to a specially designated Indian territory across the Mississippi River. This difficult and oftentimes deadly journey is known as the Trail of Tears. Now the name that the Native Americans gave this plant was corn beads, and I found this really cool article from the National Park Services, and they referenced this article from the Cherokee Nation website. I'd like to just read it for you. It's called The Legend of Corn Beads. As the soldiers came to each household to gather the Cherokee people together, many wept tears of sadness over the loss of homes and personal belongings. Many were only allowed to take what they could carry, and many were not allowed to take anything at all. As the people were taken from their homes, they would cry out, asking the Creator to send out a miracle. Many realized that these things would happen according to some of our old teachings, but they still wept because this was the only home they had ever known. The Creator looked down upon his children, the Cherokee, and sent a miracle to help soothe their sorrows. At the place where the tears of our people fell, up sprang a shoot that looked like a cornstalk. As the plant bloomed and opened up, tears of gray fell to the ground. The Creator said, "This will be a sign unto all who pass that my children will always be a part of this land. The cornstalk represents life for my children, and the tears are gray for the suffering and sorrow." As the Trail of Tears began, the people cried their tears of sorrow. They cried for the loss of family and home. As they walked along the trail, tears fell to the ground. Where these tears fell, there sprang up a small shoot, and from it fell the tears of our people's suffering. Today these small plants can be found where the Cherokee once walked in times of sadness, from the Smoky Mountains of North Carolina to the green country of Oklahoma, to remind us that our people are strong and will survive, just as this plant has. It also reminds us of the love our Creator has for His children. That's one of the beautiful things about these heirloom seeds, is that they have so much history and culture connected with them, and I think it's really special that we as home gardeners can grow a plant like this that has so much meaning and history to people. So it really is a beautiful thing. So the plant itself has been very easy to grow. The directions on the back of the seed packet say that it's an annual, direct sow outdoors after last frost, or start indoors 4 to 6 weeks before the last frost. Soaking seeds overnight may improve germination rates. So I believe I soaked mine. They came up real easily and has grown really well. Here's a cool look at the actual structure of these things. So these are actually not just the seed heads. What they are, similar to corn, they have the male parts here that have the pollen, and then there's two little pistils. Let's see if I can get a better picture here. Here's a good example. You see that thing on the left, that's the actual male pollen part, and then those two little wispy strands on the right are like the silks of a corn. So they receive the pollen from the male, and then inside is where the grain and the seed actually are created. So these beads-like structures are kind of like a hollow kind of encapsule for the seed and the grain inside. Alright, so now we're going to harvest some of these corn beads or Job's tears, and we're actually going to make a little bracelet out of it. Let's get started. So these are harvested when they turn dark black or dark gray, and you can see they easily pop off at this stage. Easily just popped off. There's a cool gray one there. Black one. I've also found some on the ground as well. So they will readily self-seed if you let these drop. They will replant themselves. Keep that in mind. But you can just go through here and pick them off just like that. Alright, so the next step is to prepare the beads for being threaded. Now the cool thing about these is that they already have a little hole in the back. So you can simply just clean them out using a safety pin and tweezers. I'll show you just one of these real quick. You just kind of poke that back part, push the safety pin through, and then what you're doing, see it easily just goes right through, but you can see inside is still parts of that flower that you have to remove. So you can kind of just work at it, pushing them through with the safety pin, and then getting the tweezers and pulling that part out. It's pretty satisfying, actually. My wife was sitting at the table doing it yesterday, and she really enjoyed it. You just push out the flower pieces, like that. And then use the tweezers. Anyway, you get the process. I'm not going to sit here and do them all. I already have some done, so I'll show you those now. Now, I don't have much experience in jewelry making, but I did read that dental floss makes for a good string for this. So I simply threaded a needle here on some dental floss, and I just threaded each little seed there. Just take it, has a little hole built in already. I said seed, but I should say corn bead. I'm going to try this other one. That one's a little small. These are beads at this point. And this is what they're used for a lot, is jewelry, prayer beads, rosaries. And you can see why. They're beautiful. They're very hard. They last a long time. And you can create some very pretty jewelry. Check this out. I don't usually wear jewelry, but that looks pretty nice. Even with my hairy arm, it's a nice bracelet. Alright guys, so that was Job's tears. Very cool plant. I do recommend growing it just because it's so easy and unique and fun. So pick up some seeds, grow Job's tears. Hey, look at that, looking good. I got these from Baker Creek online. You can probably find them a few different places. Job's tears. Pick them up, plant it, grow it. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Catch you on the next one.